Well, you guys asked, so I need to deliver. Hey guys, Kira here from 50 Shades of Mom, back to share another Saute Saturday recipe with you guys. I know, it's not Saturday, but I've had so much going on and so many things filmed and so behind on uploading and sharing with you guys. So many of you guys keep asking me to share this Arby's recipe with you guys on how I assemble my roast beef and cheddar sandwiches here at home. So last week when we had them for dinner, I filmed them and I just haven't had the chance to upload it. So we're just gonna pretend that it's Saturday today. And today we're gonna make Arby's sandwiches here at home. So let's get into the kitchen and I'll show you how I made Arby's roast beef and cheddar sandwiches right here in my kitchen. Okay guys, so here are the ingredients you're gonna need to make this recipe, and usually it's even simpler than this because usually I just use packets of Arby sauce, but today I'm gonna try my hand at making my own. So first let's start off with the roast beef. I have like a 2-pound roast beef here. I'm gonna slice this as thin as possible and then we're gonna heat this up in the frying pan. Now we need to do our best to slice as thin and almost shave your meat, because if you've eaten an Arby sandwich before, you know that the meat is similar to like steak-um consistency, although I would never use steak-ums. But you want to try and get and replicate that kind of texture. So you want to keep the meat as thin as possible, and we're not going to overcook it because you want to keep it as tender to replicate again that like thin shaved flavor. So we're gonna cut this really thin, we're gonna salt and pepper it, and we're just gonna use a couple of tablespoons of beef broth at the bottom to keep it warm. Once we're done, we're gonna add it on top of the onion rolls with a little bit of cheese, and then you would just top it with the Arby sauce. So to make the Arby sauce, I pinned a make your own Arby sauce on Pinterest, so that'll be in the description box, and the instructions say ketchup, apple cider vinegar. It says Tabasco or hot sauce. All I have is sriracha. I know it's kind of a little hotter than Tabasco, but it only calls for a couple of drops. So I'm just going to use a couple of drops of this anyways. It calls for salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and then it does call for brown sugar, which I actually happen to be out of. I didn't realize I was out of that. But luckily for me, I found a recipe where next to brown sugar, there's 2 asterisks. And if you scroll down to the bottom, it says if you don't have brown sugar, he recommends honey and or syrup. And he actually prefers if you use syrup, which is great for me because Stone Maple Products is my family's maple farm up in upstate New York. So I'm all about using their syrup. So we're gonna set the camera up. We're gonna slice this meat and get it heated, and then while it's cooking, we'll prep the sauce. Okay guys, our meat is almost done, so let's get into making our sauce. So the ingredients say you need a 1/2 cup of ketchup, And then it says 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to give this a good shake. I actually got this, if you guys can see, if it'll focus for you guys. I actually got this from Grove. I needed a couple of things that called for raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, and they actually had it on their website, so I thought that was pretty neat. Okay, so the apple cider vinegar is in. Now this says 4 to 5 drops of Tabasco or hot sauce, but again, I only have that sriracha, so I'm just going to do like 3 drops of this. And then it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay. Calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. Calls for 2 tablespoons of the brown sugar, or in this case we're using the maple syrup. It says a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but being that I use my salt shaker, I'm just going to give it a good couple of turns. And then it says it calls for 4 to 6 tablespoons of filtered water. So I'm just going to grab some water really quick, because they said the whole point of the water is to get this to the consistency where it's pourable the way that it is inside of the packets at Arby's. Okay, so I just got some filtered water here, and I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons at a time until I get the consistency that I want. Because I already think that it's a good consistency, so I don't really think that it's necessary to go crazy with tons of water, but I think I'll do 1 more tablespoon, and then I think that's good. It actually smells very similar, and I'm anxious to try it to see how close it really is, because this is definitely the key to making every Arby's sandwich taste like an Arby's sandwich. So let me dive in. That is pretty darn close. I'd like to try it with the brown sugar to see if that makes any difference. But the apple cider vinegar is actually the tang that you always get in the Arby's sauce that I never realized what that was. And that's what that tang is that apple cider vinegar. So I'm actually very happy with this. This is way more than we'll need, but it said in the instructions that it'll keep for 30 days. So I'm just going to make this on the meal plan in like 2 to 3 weeks. This way we can use up the rest of the sauce. So now let's take this to the tray and let's start dressing our sandwiches. Okay guys, so here's the fun part. So now we're going to dress our sandwiches. So here's that Rico's premium cheddar canned sauce. I get this in the aisle where like the Velveeta and all of that stuff is in Walmart. It's like $1.59 a can, but it is like the perfect cheese and consistency to make these sandwiches. And you can put on as much or as little as you like, but I really only just do like 1 heaping teaspoon like you see here, and put it on top. Now, if you guys noticed when I was filleting the meat, I did end up going back and like skinning the whole bottom, because I found like a fatty piece that was making it really difficult. So just make sure you keep your meat good and trim so it's easy to get that good and sliced thin texture. And then I probably would have had enough to maybe make one more sandwich, but instead I just went back and added like another piece of beef to each one so that each sandwich is good and beefy. So there we go. We got a good amount of cheese on there, and we still have like more than a half a can in there, so it doesn't take a whole lot. And I usually transfer this to a Tupperware, and it'll stay good until I use it again when I cook this meal again, because we've been so hooked on this. We have been eating it so often. And so now we're just going to do the same thing with that teaspoon, and you're going to drizzle it on top. Now I will tell you that if you've eaten at Arby's and you like these sandwiches, you know they're generally messy, and if you eat a really good sloppy and messy sandwich, then you're probably eating a delicious one. So I usually just drizzle it like that, and then this is it, guys. Like, it's that simple. I know everyone kept asking, and I kept saying like it's really simple, but it's not complicated. And just these flavors together is like having Arby's at home, which really is exciting, because I feel like Arby's is definitely one of the more expensive fast food places out there. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could go to McDonald's or Burger King and get like a dollar menu thing. I mean, you could even get out at Taco Bell for a fairly cheap meal to feed a family, but at Arby's, you're spending 30, 40 bucks to get the amount of sandwiches that we just got here. 6 delicious, yummy sandwiches. So I did also make the Arby's curly fries, which I buy at the grocery store, which I'll show you when they're plated. And I also bought the Trader Joe's hash browns that are very similar to the potato cakes that Arby's makes. So I'm going to plate this up and show you what a complete Arby's meal looks like at home. Okay guys, here we are, all plated up. We're paper plating it tonight, but that's okay because it's that kind of meal. But this is what it looks like. These are the Arby's curly fries, and you can get this in the freezer section of your grocery store. And then these are the hash browns from Trader Joe's. And then here is our piping hot, yummy, delicious, fresh, homemade Arby's sandwich. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me while we cooked our Arby's at home. If you guys are new, hit that subscribe button. I do a Saute Saturday every other Saturday. And for everyone else, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check the description box for the recipe, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye guys.
It's just a cruel existence, like it's no point hoping.